Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to share today's project with you. I'm going to be updating my countertops and changing them into concrete countertops. But the cool part about this is I'm actually going to reuse the same countertops that I currently have, which are, I think it's called formica. It's sort of like a laminate countertop. I'll just insert some footage here of what it is. And so what I'm going to do is, rather than take those out, which would be, pretty labor intensive, and then I would still require a new sort of base for the concrete, I'm going to keep these and I'm going to apply a feather coat of concrete right on top. And for that, I'm going to be using something called Ardex feather finish, and I'm using a white concrete to do this. So I'm really, really excited about this project. I've actually already gone ahead and done the counter back there. And I just wanted to sort of get that done on my own, make sure I, knew what I was doing before I recorded this one. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this countertop together. And I'm gonna show you all the steps I took to recycle these countertops, but give them an updated look. And yeah, so this is the formica. And one important thing that you can see here with the formica is it has this integrated backsplash. It's like a rounded backsplash there, and then also the front of it is rounded as well. And those rounded components of the countertop I really don't like, and I think it sort of will prevent it from looking like, a slab of concrete, which should have, I think, sharper 90-degree corners. What I'm going to do with the concrete is I'm going to build up the edges to make sure that they look like 90-degree corners, and that will give it a more realistic sort of slab look to it. And yeah, what's so cool about this is we're not going to fill the landfill with these countertops. We're going to reuse them. What some people do for feather finish is they will use like a plywood base and then they'll apply the concrete feather finish on top of that. But these countertops, the formica, you can actually apply the concrete directly to them. So there's really no need to tear them out and create a new base. Another way that some people do concrete countertops is they'll do a pour of concrete. But the problem with the pour is it's really heavy. So if down the line you change your mind and you want to switch out your countertops, you're now dealing with these heavy, thick slabs of concrete. Whereas what I'm doing is just a thin concrete finish on the top. So it would be easy to switch out if down the line, I want to upgrade and get a stone or a marble or a butcher block. It'll just be a lot easier to switch out, less permanent, right? And as styles change and designs change and budgets change, switching it out is something that might happen down the line. So I really liked the idea of doing the feather finish because, one, it's not so permanent, and two, it's very inexpensive. It's not going to take as much concrete, and three, I'm reusing what I already have, and that's sort of a big part of this channel is I want to see how far I can take this house with improving what it has and, kind of going from there. So yeah, let's jump in. I'm so excited to share this project with you, and I'm excited that you guys are back on the channel, and I'm excited that I have another video here. So let's start off with clearing this countertop off, and then we'll jump in with the feather finish. Okay, so now that the countertop's all cleared off, the next step is I'm going to just clean it, give it a good wipe down, and then I'm going to sand the surface just to scuff it up a little bit and give the concrete something to adhere to. And here's a closer look at where we're starting with. All right, so I've got an 80 grit sandpaper attached here, and I'm going to just go in and give this a light scuffing. That way our concrete will have something to adhere to. Okay, the first coat is on, and here's where we're at. As you can, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's on somewhat thin. There are certain sections where you can still see the counter underneath coming through, and that's completely fine. That's how it should be. The only areas I mixed the concrete a bit thicker was around the edges here. That way it wouldn't just like slop down and fall on the floor. But as you can see, the edge is still rounded. I'm just trying to slowly work my way up to get it to a 90-degree angle. And the first coat really is just mostly about getting on coverage. The hardest part was this back section. I'm finding it really challenging to get it to be like a flat angle and not rounded. But this is where we're at after the first coat, and I'm thinking the second coat will be easier. This groove here, I also don't want it to be rounded. I want it to be like a sharp groove, and I wasn't really able to do that on the first coat, but I'm going to try on the next one. Okay, so we're done for tonight. Now I'm going to wait for this to set and sit overnight, and then tomorrow I'm going to come in and do the second coat, and then that's when I'm hoping we'll start to see some bigger changes. But so far so good. I had to pull the stove out here just so I could get the edge on this end. Good morning, guys. It's the next day, so we're gonna just keep building on this countertop. We don't need to sand it in between the first and second coat. Right now, I'm just focusing on getting the layers on and getting the shapes I want on the edges. So let's jump in and add a second coat of concrete to this countertop. The second coat is on, so now what I'm going to do is wait for this to dry, probably till tomorrow, and then I'm going to sand it a lot. I'm going to try to get it super smooth before I go ahead and add the third coat. It might not need a third coat, but I suspect it will, just to sort of refine certain areas, even if it's just like a spot coat. But the other countertop I did do 3 coats. I'm running low on the concrete, and I would really hoping to not have to buy another bag, so I'm kind of hoping that it's going to look really good after these 2 coats, and then I can just do a thin third coat and avoid buying another whole bag. And then that will mean that that one bag went pretty far, because I've got a lot of counter here, and the other one I did 3 coats on, and the first coat I did on the other one was pretty thick. So yeah, if I can get all of this done off of just this one bag, that would be great. I think the bag was about $50-$60. If not, I'll buy a third bag and have plenty of left over for future projects, so that'll be fine too. But yeah, so it's looking better now that I've done the second coat. I find that the first coat kind of makes you feel like, oh crap, what did I do? This is looking awful, because it's so rough and the shapes aren't really there yet. But I've really worked hard on sort of shaping out those edges, and it's looking a lot better. And then I think when I do a third coat on the edges, it'll like just smoothen everything out and look good. So just have faith after your first coat, and I promise it will look a lot better after the second one. So once this dries, tomorrow I'm going to sand it all down. I'm going to start with 80 grit and work up to probably 200 grit. And then I might do a third coat depending on how it looks from there. So yeah. While this is setting, I'm actually going to work on some plumbing in the kitchen, because I'm re-plumbing under the sink so I can accommodate my dishwasher. I'm installing my portable countertop dishwasher within my cabinetry, and then rather than having to like disconnect and reconnect the hose to the kitchen sink every night when I turn on the dishes, I'm just doing a hard install of it below the counter. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on behind the scenes, and I'm going to probably be spending much of the afternoon doing that, because the final part that I was waiting on just arrived. So, okay, I will jump back in tomorrow and show you how the second coat looks dry and start sanding, and then we'll see if we need a third one. This is after the second coat. It's all wet, Not yet dry, but as you can see, the edges are coming along. They're looking more square. This is the one edge I think will need a little bit more work, but I did square it off decently. And then there's along the back counter. It's looking more square, and it will look even better once I sand it smooth. So that's where we're at so far. How cute is Oshi? Hey buddy, how cute are you? The cutest buddy in the world. Yes, you are. You're so cute. Hey guys, it's the next morning. So I did end up doing a third coat last night on certain sections, particularly the front edge and then the back edge as well, the backsplash area, and then a few spot sections on the countertop. And I think that's all that's going to be required. I did some sanding last night before doing that just to get things as smooth as I could and see sort of the problem areas that were a little bit too rough for my liking. And I've gone ahead and added third coats in those sections. And so now what I'm gonna do is sand everything as best as I can. I'm gonna start with an 80 grit and then do a 120 grit and then a 220 grit and then see how we're looking. I'm thinking that this will be good enough. It's not going to look like a perfect piece of stone. It's concrete there and it's handcrafted, right? So there will be some grooves and some character to it, which I personally like. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand away at this, and then after that I'll show you how it turned out. I'll show you how it looks. We're very, very close, and I'm excited to have a counter back, which I guess I won't have a counter back yet because I do have to seal it. And to seal it, I'm going to use tung oil because that's non-toxic and food safe. And but I'm going to do that in the next video because this one's starting to get pretty long, and I'm going to do it in a natural, non-toxic, food safe way because this is a countertop, and I'm actually going to use tung oil, and that will darken the color a bit. It will add some movement to the tones as well. So if you're curious how that turns out, check out the next video. It's gonna change the look quite a bit, but if you do want to keep it this white look, especially if you used white concrete or really any concrete because tung oil will darken it, then there are other sealers you can use, like a urethane sealer, but for various reasons I decided to go with tung oil, and yeah, I'll explain that more in the next video when I show you how I seal it. But let's sand away and then I'll show you the final result, how this looks before the sealer. All right, let's do it. This is how we're looking after sanding. There's still a few rough areas that I want to go in and add another coat on. You can see the edge here. So I want to fill in some of these sections to make it look more smooth. Some people might like the more raw concrete edge, but you can even actually see it's very thin here. Some of the counters coming through. So I'm gonna go and add another coat onto the edge here just to smoothen it out. The top is looking quite good, and the back edge is not bad. So yeah, I'm just gonna go in and spot treat a few areas with another coat, and then I'll show you the final result. And here's how they turned out. They're all done now. They don't have the sealer on. I'm going to do that tomorrow. So this is just the raw concrete. And I think it turned out great. Show you the edges here. You can see some detail. Yeah, so that'll be it for this video. I'm so happy with how they turned out, and I'm really excited to get the sealer on so I can start using these countertops again. But this was a pretty simple, easy weekend project, and I think that the countertops turned out great. All in all, costed me about 60 bucks to do both countertops because all I had to buy was one bag of concrete feather finish. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off now, and then tomorrow I'm going to seal these countertops, and as you'll see in that video, sealing them with the tung oil really does sort of change the look. It deepens the color a lot, brings out more movement in the color, and sort of makes it look more concrete, because the white concrete almost doesn't look that concrete compared to gray, if that makes sense. But yeah, the tung oil finish will change the look of them quite a bit. It gives them a really nice sheen, and it brings out some movement and some variation in the color, sort of giving it a more concrete look, but more subtle since it is white concrete. But anyways, I'm gonna sign off now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video where we seal these countertops. See you on the next one. Bye.